It's foolish perhaps, but I expect it all. All the success, the recognition, the happiness. I expect it not just because others have it or because it's possible, but because if I can't achieve it at all, what's the point? My dreams have dictated my expectations, and my dreams are grand. Behind every sacrifice, every rule, every achievement, there's been an expectation of more. More strength, more fortune, more everything. But the more I expect, the more disappointed I become. My first YouTube video changed things. The idea of someone watching my content and resonating with my thoughts was novel, surreal, and exhilarating. Every view, every like, every subscription meant someone somewhere was listening to my perspective. But then I started to expect more. More views, more likes, more subscribers. My latest videos would perform well, but it wasn't enough. Popular advice advocates for eliminating all expectations, so that disappointment is not a possibility. Don't expect success and don't become attached. Just live. A life without expectations is a life risk-averse. It averages the exponentiality of life to something linear. It is tempered, simple, and predictable. Sure, a life without expectations is devoid of disappointments, but honestly, it's the worst way to live. Expectations enrich our lives. Strangers become friends once we're comfortable enough to expect more from them. Groups become a community when we expect more from each other. Dreams become a reality when we expect more from ourselves. Having expectations requires the courage to pursue a goal in the face of possible failure. A life without expectations is stuck in neutral, not regressing, but not progressing either.
The greater fool is actually an economic term. It's a patsy.
Thanks for that.
For the rest of us to profit, we need a greater fool. Someone who will buy long and sell short. Most people spend their lives trying not to be the greater fool. We toss him the hot potato. We die for his seat when the music stops. The greater fool is someone with the perfect blend of self-delusion and ego to think that he can succeed where others have failed. This whole country was made by greater fools.
Progress is David and Goliath. It's a tale of overcoming adversity. It's a story of achieving the impossible. To progress, one needs to believe that they can achieve where others have failed. To be great at anything, one needs to become a greater fool. One needs the confidence, the poise, to believe that they can win. One needs an ego not built from external validation, but from internal security. One needs the expectation that they will achieve greatness. Euphoria in sports comes from a phenomenon called the flow state, or being in the zone. There's these moments in the heat of competition where all the spectators seemingly fade into the background. All outside noises are muted, and where one finds oneself completely engrossed in the present. Time slows down, details are intensified, and one is both alert and relaxed. In these moments, one is fully focused on the task at hand, dedicating their all to achieving success. To enter the flow state, one first needs a challenge. An obstacle needs to be complex enough to push one's limits, yet feasible enough to be solved. Secondly, and more importantly, there needs to be a belief in oneself to complete the task. A sense of self-assurance in one's capabilities. Expectations unlock that potential. They push us to surpass our limits and redefine what is possible. They allow us to fully engross ourselves in the present. They help us mold life into our dreams. Truthfully, we need expectations to live a fulfilled life. Problems don't come from our expectations, but rather from where we place our expectations. Be a prince or be a peasant. The experience of solo traveling is an education in discomfort. You travel to an unknown place, engross yourself in a foreign culture, and spend all of your time with strangers. There isn't a single solace of familiarity. Leading up to my first solo trip to Australia, I experienced fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of what others would think of me, and a fear of being completely alone and by myself. That first hour in Sydney felt uncomfortable, unappealing, and unpalatable. But it was through this discomfort that I realized where all of my fears stemmed from: my expectations. I had such high expectations. I had expectations of making life-defining memories, meeting lifelong friends, and of life-altering experiences that would transform me into a better person. I felt that my every action needed to be planned and optimized to extract the most out of every hour. Regarding my appearance and my demeanor, I needed to present the best version of myself. The reality, however, was that no one cared. No one knew who I was, nor would they remember me in a month. No one knew my past, nor my future. In short, no one had any expectations on how I ought to act. The only person that had expectations was me. The moment I released my expectations, the trip became not about the result, but about being in the present. Not about acting how I ought to be, but acting how I wanted to be. The absence of expectations makes way for gratitude and appreciation. What you give up in expectations, you gain in acceptance of how things are. The results no longer matter. The only thing that does matter is being in the present, experiencing authenticity without any desire for change. Peasants have nothing, come from nothing, and experience a life of nothing. Peasants live a life of scarcity, fighting every day just to survive. For peasants, a good life is built from merit. They evolve through their ambition for a better life, through the failures and tribulations they face. With enough success, a peasant can even become a king. Peasants are defined not by their birthright, but by their merit. Conversely, princes live a life of abundance. Princes have everything, come from everything, and expect a life of everything. Princes grow up in the grandest of castles, experiencing the finest comforts and luxuries. They live a life that is protected, secure, and safe. Princes are not defined by their merit, but by their birthright. Our expectations can either be those of princes or peasants. The former are framed by what is yours by right, the latter are framed by appreciating the opportunity. Having healthy expectations mean acknowledging the validity of both extremes. A ferocious appetite to consume and evolve is required to achieving prestige in the pursuit of life. However, a content, grounded, and appreciative perspective is required to having gratitude in the present, to appreciate the blessings often forgotten.
That dream with my father, the empty box, wasn't about being boss. It's about being happy.
Expect the world of yourself and nothing of the world. It's a phrase that has helped me create healthy expectations. Expect the world of yourself means to expect to have it all the success, the recognition, the happiness. Expect it because you evolve with expectations. Expect it because you deepen your affinities by pursuing more depth. Expect it because you can push beyond your limits. Expect nothing of the world means to expect, but also to appreciate your family, your friends, your world. You should still have your expectations, but ground yourself through gratitude. Not everything requires progress. There's always room for gratitude. Expect yourself to become the person you desire, but appreciate others for who they authentically are. Expect yourself to better the world, but also appreciate the world with all its imperfections. Expect all the darkest and brightest experiences life has to offer, but also appreciate this opportunity we call life. Expect, but also appreciate.